Welcome back to Beyond Wisdom, where we explore timeless truths for a more peaceful and meaningful life. Today we're talking about something that can quietly control our lives without us even realizing it. The belief that our emotions define who we are. Sadness, anger, fear. These feelings are deeply human. But when we start to think we are our emotions, instead of simply experiencing them, we begin to lose touch with our deeper self. This video is about breaking free from that illusion and learning to see emotions for what they truly are. Passing weather, not our identity. Have you ever been caught in a storm and thought, this is how it will always be? Of course not. You know storms pass. But when we feel overwhelmed by emotions, we forget they're just like that. Temporary, powerful, and ultimately moving on. Emotions show up based on what's happening around us, what we're thinking, or even what we ate. They're signals, not definitions. You might feel angry, but that doesn't make you an angry person. You might feel scared, but that doesn't mean you're weak. The problem begins when we fuse our identity with the emotion. I'm depressed. I'm worthless. I'm not good enough. These statements don't reflect who we are. They reflect how we feel in a moment. And that distinction is everything. When we begin to treat emotions as visitors, here to deliver a message but not to take over, we create space between who we are and what we feel. At the core of who you are is not happiness, sadness, excitement, or fear. It's the awareness that notices those emotions. Think about that for a second. The very fact that you can observe yourself feeling something means there's a deeper you behind it. A quiet, grounded presence. That's your true self, the one watching, learning, growing. Emotions rise and fall, but that awareness stays constant. Imagine a movie screen. The emotions are the scenes playing out, joyful ones, heartbreaking ones, tense and peaceful alike. But the screen itself doesn't change. It holds everything without being any of it. When you identify with that steady presence, rather than the emotional scenes, you begin to experience a quiet kind of freedom. You stop being at the mercy of your feelings and start understanding them with compassion. We live in a world that loves to label things, especially ourselves. I have anxiety. I'm just not confident. I'm always the jealous type. While there's nothing wrong with naming your struggles, the danger is in becoming too attached to those labels. They start to feel permanent. And when something feels permanent, we stop trying to grow beyond it. Emotions can be intense, even overwhelming, but they are never permanent. You might feel anxious for a week, a month, maybe longer. But even anxiety has a rhythm. It flares up and calms down. It changes form. The moment we begin to see labels as passing descriptions rather than fixed identities, we begin to soften. We make space for change. It's okay to say, I feel anxious right now, instead of, I have anxiety. That one small shift opens the door to healing. It reminds us that we are not broken. We are simply human, having human experiences. A lot of people think being strong means not showing emotion, or that emotional maturity means not feeling so much. But that's not what true control looks like. Real emotional control starts with awareness and acceptance. It means letting yourself feel fully, but not letting those feelings drive the car. Think of it like sitting in the back seat with a child who's having a tantrum. You don't throw them out of the car. You don't let them take the wheel either. You let them feel, you listen, and you keep driving. This is how we treat our emotions. We allow them, but we don't obey them. We listen, but we don't let them define our choices. Over time, the emotions start to settle, not because we force them to go away, but because we created a safe space for them to move through. Sometimes, what we're feeling isn't even about what's happening right now. It's an echo of something older, a childhood fear, an old wound, a time we felt left out, ignored, or unsafe. These echoes color how we see the present. Someone not texting back might trigger feelings of rejection from years ago. A coworker's tone might remind you of a parent's disapproval. The emotion feels like it belongs to now, but it doesn't. It's a shadow from the past. When we pause and ask, is this feeling really about this moment? We often realize it's not. That realization alone helps us take a step back. We stop reacting blindly and start responding wisely. And each time we do that, we loosen the grip these old echoes have on us. Some people worry that if they stop identifying with their emotions, they'll become cold or numb. But it's the opposite. When you're no longer tangled up in your feelings, you can experience them even more deeply, but with peace. You can cry without believing you're broken. You can get angry without losing yourself in rage. You can feel fear and still take the next step forward. This is what true freedom looks like. It's not about avoiding feelings. It's about not letting them control the narrative. You are the sky. The emotions are the weather. Let them roll in. Let them pass. But always remember, you are not the storm. This kind of emotional freedom doesn't happen overnight. It's a practice. It begins with noticing. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Then asking, what is this emotion trying to tell me? And finally, reminding yourself, I am not this emotion. I'm the one watching it. That small practice, done often, changes everything. Over time, the distance between your emotion and your identity grows. Not in a cold way, but in a wise, loving way. You start to feel like you again, even on the hard days. And slowly, you build a life that isn't constantly pulled in every direction by feelings. A life grounded in clarity, peace, and presence. You are not your sadness. You are not your anger. You are not your fear, or even your joy. You are the space that holds all of it. The awareness, the stillness, the deep well of calm underneath the waves. When we learn to see emotions for what they are, temporary messengers, not permanent truths, we begin to reclaim ourselves. And in that space, we find a different kind of power. A power rooted in presence, not performance. In knowing, not needing. This is what it means to truly be free. When was the time you realized you weren't your emotions? And how did it change you? I'd love to hear your story in the comments. If this video helped you, consider subscribing to Beyond Wisdom. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay calm, stay strong, and stay wise.